Hi, everyone. My name is Brett Hurt, and I'm the CEO and co founder of Data.World. Hey, I was talking with a friend earlier today, a very dear friend named Eugene Sepulveda, who is the CEO of Culturati, which is the premier global conference on how to build great company cultures. And one of the things he asked me from a conversation we were having a couple of days ago is he said, "Hey, you said that AI can also spark employee joy. What did you mean by that?" And it's a good question because there's a lot of dystopian narrative out there about AI, how it's going to replace jobs. We've all seen the sci-fi movies, The Terminator, The Matrix, take your pick of dystopian sci-fi that has made us scared of AI. And that's kind of in the modern nomenclature much more than how it's going to increase employee joy. So what do I mean by that? Well, the whole basis of human progress, if you go back to the beginning of humanity, has been around making our lives easier. If you go back to when we were working the fields, when we invented farming, it was very backbreaking work. We were out in the hot sun, and it was really difficult work to do physically. If you go back to even before that, we discovered fire and we learned how to cook our food, and that allowed us to consume more, and that led to us having bigger brains, and ultimately our IQ over a very long period of time increased to the point where we have such an intellect as human beings that we can use that for lots of good. We can also use that for bad. But that really helped us evolve as animals on this beautiful planet we call Earth to create easier lives. And those easier lives have been primarily through the creation of technology. Now, I'm not discounting the beauty of poetry. I'm not discounting the beauty of philosophy, of all types of literature, the arts, music. There's so many aspects of humanity that's beautiful. Of course, romance, love. I'm married. My soulmate, Deborah, we've been married almost 28 years. I love my children. Our daughter is 19 now, just finished her first year in college. Our son is 14. He's very much like me in the sense that I started programming when I was 7 years old. He started at 4 years old. Now he's 14, and the way he has progressed with AI is really, really fascinating. My daughter has her own jewelry business. She also has her own book. She has her own podcast. So very proud of my children, and don't get me started too much on bragging on them. But those relationships, of course, are incredibly important and make up a huge part of my life. But so does technology. And if you think about employee joy in this age that we're now in with AI, and how much automation is coming and is already here, it's a very, very exciting time. And I understand for some how it's also an unnerving time, but let me try to calm your nerves a little bit if you really take this message with a sense of our history as the human race. So think about the fact that we now have the capability to do things that we did not have the time to do before. I'll give you a great example. Our salespeople at Data.World, I would always encourage them to do a lot of research on a prospect or a customer or a partner. And that research takes a lot of time prior to AI. You have to do a lot of reading. You have to do a lot of digging for what you're looking for. You have to do a lot of spelunking on social media, and it just takes time. And so what ended up happening when I would give that advice with everybody having the right intentions is they just wouldn't have the time typically to do it right. And I can tell you my personal experience and people reaching out to me to try to sell me something is that 99% of the time I get a LinkedIn request or an email or a text message, and they can't even spell data.world correctly. They literally did not even go to our homepage. And I'm a very easy person to research. My book, The Entrepreneur's Essentials, is online for free. My blog is online. I constantly am writing on Medium. I'm constantly writing on LinkedIn. I'm on lots of podcasts. But they just didn't take the time. And that's 99% of the time when someone reaches out to me. So I tell our salespeople that because I want them to know that busy people, especially executives, are constantly looking for a reason to say no as quickly as possible and just get off the phone or the email or whatever the medium is you're trying to reach them in. But now with AI, we've built 11 tools inside of our company, and a huge shout out to Brandon Godochi, our VP of AI operations, that allow you to do things like easily research a customer or prospect and easily understand what they're up to and prepare a dossier-like format that allows you to really get that understanding. And when you're in sales, it's a hyper-emotional job because people are constantly telling you no or ignoring you, like I am for those 99%, reaching out to me that are reaching out to me in a way where it's clear they didn't do any research. Now, when people do respond, that sparks a dopamine hit. People have some joy from that because and it goes on both sides. The prospect has some joy because they're like, wow, this is the 1% of people that actually did some work to get to know me. And of course, the data.world employee has some joy because they're like, wow, they actually responded, let's go, let's help them. I mean, we're doing this at data.world because we really believe in our mission, because we're trying to do something that advances humanity, advances conscious capitalism. We're a proud B corporation. And we have done this type of AI enabled intelligence across every single job function at data.world. If you're a programmer at data.world, you would much rather be working side by side with GitHub Copilot to constantly be helping you take the drudgery out of coding. And therefore, you can spend more of your time on creative tasks. Now, where do I think all of this is going? First of all, there is no doubt in my mind that that more and more companies are going to shed jobs. Okay, last year in 2023, the number of net new tech jobs was only 700 in the entire United States. Why? Because there were lots and lots of layoffs. It's a hangover from the ZERP period where a lot of companies overhired, and now they're correcting, but now AI is helping with automation. Now, is this something that should be scary to you? Maybe, but here's another way to look at it. In the last 3 years in the United States, more small businesses have been founded than in any other point in the history of the United States. Okay, so think about that. More small companies have been founded in the United States every year in the past 3 years than in the history of the United States, than any other year. And we're proud investors in a company named Zen Business, which has really benefited from this. So as that barrier to creativity is being shattered by AI, there are millions of startups being created that each individually will be smaller than they would have been pre-AI, but there will be many more of them. And one of the things we love in this country is we love the diversity of all the businesses that are trying to serve us and make our lives easier. That's the beauty of capitalism. And it's a very competitive market, and people have to win you over. And they're only going to win you over if they're increasing your joy. Blockbuster went out of business because they were making almost all of their profits in a way that Fred Reichheld talked about being bad profits. So there was all this negative word of mouth about late fees. And the biggest beneficiary was Netflix. And what did Netflix say at the beginning of their campaign when they launched? The end of late fees. They leveraged all that bad word of mouth, all of those bad profits, to find a way to break through the noise and increase customer joy. I think you would say, and a lot of people would say, I certainly would say, that I love Netflix. And I don't want the world to be like it was back in Blockbuster. I can't even tell you how many times I went to a Blockbuster and had that walk of shame where my wife was saying, I can't believe that you have to pay $30 of late fees. You know, you idiot, you should have returned this earlier. And she was right, I should have. But I'm like a lot of people. I got really busy, I forgot. But you don't have to worry about that with Netflix, right? It made our lives easier. So this is what capitalism is about. And AI is the ultimate accelerant to productivity. This time it's real is one of the scariest phrases that's ever said in markets. But this time it actually is real. This time you're going to see a productivity lift like you've never seen before in companies. But they have to adopt AI and they have to be world class with AI to experience that productivity lift. And only 4% of CIOs said that their data is in a position, a format, where they are AI ready, where they can even use these large language models. So there's lots of companies that are just trying to form that digital brain, if you will, to be able to communicate with any large language model, any small language model, et cetera. And that's what we're doing with our AI context engine at Data.World. And we think it's going to increase all types of employee joy at our customers. And we're seeing it all the time. And that makes us feel great. So think about this for a second. The entire course of human history has been to embrace technology to make our lives easier. Okay? It's always been that way. And to fight that is to fight the very nature of our reality and desires as human beings. When I saw the AI moratorium call last year, I honestly just shook my head. I couldn't believe it. It's so wrong-headed because it's like telling a human being during the discovery of fire, you can't have that. You can't have this amazing tool to cook your meals for the first time and make that tough, vegetable or meat actually taste good, and be able to consume a lot of it and be able to increase, your overall well-being. And those times are really tough. Those were times where we literally did have to worry about the saber-toothed tiger and other animals eating us. Things are a lot different now. I'm certainly not discounting that there's a lot of people that do manual labor jobs. I always say the hardest working Americans are people in the world are doing multiple manual labor jobs just to make ends meet. But I would also pose that among those people, innovations like the launch of OpenAI's GPT-4o, which is now available for free to everyone, will also help those people increase joy and maybe invent a business that they've always been thinking of because now that barrier to creativity is shattered. One thing that really upset me not that long ago, actually I guess it was about a year ago, is our son was the first student to bring ChatGPT to his school system. And they banned it the next week. And I just couldn't believe it. And believe it or not, when the digital calculator was invented, it was banned for a decade in a lot of colleges, which is so wrong-headed because we needed to get on with making assignments more difficult and more ambitious because of the invention of the digital calculator. And One of my favorite professors is at the Wharton School. His name is Ethan Mollick, Mollick. I would really encourage you to follow him on LinkedIn because he's doing it right. He's giving students such ambitious assignments that they wouldn't be able to do them in 2 to 3 months, but now they can do them in a week. And you know what? That makes them more joyous too, because they're getting a lot of stuff done and he's preparing them for the future. One of the things that I tell our employees at Data.World, and we really love our team, we've been rated in the top places to work in Austin for 8 years in a row, is I say, look, if we are failing to make sure you adopt AI to create an easier, more effective job at Data.World so that your productivity increases, we are failing you for the rest of your career. The early adopters of AI that become world-class with it are going to, first of all, be more joyous. Second of all, they're going to be a lot more effective. They're going to be able to get a lot more work done and not go through the drudgery of the past. And I've seen this throughout my career. I've started 6 companies. Data.World is certainly the most ambitious to date. And we're in this very exciting new era with AI. And it's super exciting having the AI context engine out there and seeing what customers are doing with it. It's awesome. The webinar we did recently with Michael Murray at Power Digital really was kind of mind-blowing. But you know, we're in this new era where this is the course of human history. So I hope I've made you think a bit about how AI creates employee joy. I will tell you that it's not you that are going to be replaced by AI. It's you if you don't become world-class with AI, because this is the new frontier for you to be more effective at whatever you're working on, whether you're writing a book, whether you're working at a company, whether you're doing almost anything you can imagine. You should be using AI to really level up. And if you do that, you're going to be investing in yourself and you're going to evolve in a way that you look back and you're like, I'm glad I did that. Just like the early adopters did with personal computers, just like the early adopters did with the internet. I am a product of that. I have made my life a real dream come true by fortunately becoming very successful in entrepreneurship. That's a combination of grit, but it's also a combination of luck. Both factors have to be true, in my opinion, to become a successful entrepreneur. So I hope I've gotten you to think about this and remember that this is the course of human history. We have always been destined to create easier lives by inventing technologies to do so. From Blockbuster to Netflix, from the old days of trying to find things on the internet to Google. Now from the old days of trying to research anything or code to AI. So it's a super exciting time to be alive. I feel that every day, and I hope you do too. Let's go get it together and let's evolve in a way where we all become more productive and more joyous. We absolutely can. Thanks for listening. Again, this is Brett Hurt, CEO and co-founder of Data.World. And feel free to check out my book at theentrepreneursessentials.com. Of course, you can chat with the book there as well. And if you buy it on Amazon, all of the proceeds go to benefiting female entrepreneurs at the University of Texas at Austin, which fills me with a different type of joy that's just as profound and just as loving, because I love, love, love to see people become successful entrepreneurs. I think that we are the job creators, and there's more small companies being created now than at any other point in American history. And how freaking cool is that? So focus on that a little bit more than the fear. Okay? Thank you. Bye-bye.